recording.
Okay.
And I'll call this meeting of the Summit Waller Community Association Board to order at a couple of minutes after 7. And board meeting minutes. Is there anything that, did anybody have a change addition to them from what John sent out? Does anybody want to make a motion on the meeting minutes?
So moved.
I'll second that, Angela.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we approve the meeting minutes for the March meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Who made the motion?
Larry did.
Larry did.
Oh, okay, great. I can't tell voices from the little speaker.
Okay, and Russell will not be here tonight. So I guess the next thing we'll move on to is the Webmaster Report. Gabe.
All right. So this month,
correction.
Oh,
Just a second. We have to approve both months' treasurer's reports, Mr. President.
okay. Without the treasurer here then. Okay. Although we did
Correct.
receive them in the email.
Yes.
Okay. So do we have a
And I've looked
motion?
them over. I've looked them over and they look just fine. And it's Larry. I move that we approve the February and March treasurer's report submitted by Russell Reed.
seconded.
So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the February and March treasurer's report. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. And now on to the Webmaster Report.
Okie doke. So this month we had in technical terms, it's actually kind of a big deal. Our website before was what was called standard non-secured mode, which is not a big deal since we never did any sort of financial transactions on it. But a lot of websites now web browsers are now saying and warning about the site being secured or not. And it's across the board. Websites that aren't secure will show up like that, and it'll give you a scary message saying this website's not secure, it's not safe, and then ask if you want to continue. So our web host has actually done a secure website. We're now on a new host, so the website's both secured and much more responsive. It's much faster now. So that was a significant change. And then the next item for that would be easier ability to create mailboxes. That would allow us to set up a anonymized mailbox for each one of the roles and or positions in the board. So we can then mask private email addresses from the public so they're not getting spam, and we can change who that gets forwarded to once the position changes, and allow people to get email directed towards vice president at summitwaller.org and so on and so forth. So there's some really nice items that we had coming up there so we can make sure that the site's secure, won't give any sort of crazy errors that will scare people, and we can make sure that communication can happen a little bit better between people that want to ask questions for the vice president or the president, the treasurer, or whatnot, without having to worry about exposing their personal information.
Nice. Yeah, I know that the site security issue is certainly a problem with a lot of federal government sites, especially any DoD sites, and the browsers freak out and don't want to let you go there because they say that they're dangerous. So,
Right. So
yeah,
that's no
it's
longer
nice.
an issue. You'll see the nice secure padlock in your browser next to the domain name.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, current business, Orange Gate Park. Larry, how many hours you put in this month?
I put in 19 hours in March. It was a trash-filled month.
Oof. And have you received any feedback regarding clearing out the Scotch broom?
No, I haven't. I did notice that somewhere in the recent past, one of the power entities that goes through Orange Gate Park, it's either the Bonneville Power Administration or Tacoma Power, have cleared all the Scotch broom underneath the power lines on their easement. And I'm not sure whether it's Tacoma Power or Bonneville Power Administration that has to do the other side. So part of it's been done and the other part has not. I have not been able to get in touch with my contact person with Pierce County Parks to find out what the status is with them in communications with either Bonneville Power or Tacoma Power. I'll try to do that here. I'll keep at it, and hopefully that'll be done by the time summer rolls around.
Mhm.
Anybody can kind of help out. I know that we're coming into spring and summer months are going to be heaviest, and we're still in a situation where the pandemic is still on. Price of houses and housing is going up. More and more people are living out of their cars, whatnot. There's more trash being dumped everywhere, not just in our area. We've had more larger dumps in the last couple of weeks than probably all of the winter months. So things are picking up as far as people deciding to dump quantities of items. In fact, just today between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., somebody dumped a bunch of stuff over on 46th Avenue East between 80th and 84th, which I went over and staged and called it in. The county has been really great as far as coming out and picking it up. I have a couple other people in the neighborhood who are also calling in illegal dumps on county right of way. So we're keeping ahead of things, but illegal dumping is still a problem. There are some rather strange people that I've run into lounging around in the park. Haven't had any problem with them. They're nice, but of course you keep your distance and ask them if they need anything. Can I help you? That sort of thing. It kind of puts everybody more at ease, and that usually is a positive outcome. Other than that, I could always use some more help. So feel free to come over anytime with a bag. I'm particularly probably need some help in two areas. One is just walking from 50th Avenue East all the way up to up the hill past where Pipeline Road crosses 84th to basically the entryway to Rainier Vista Apartments, just picking up litter, and also walking the trails looking for trash or trees that have fallen across the trail, or maybe maybe you come across somebody trying to camp out in the park. If you'll get in touch with me, that'd be great. But those are a couple areas I could really use some help. Just yesterday, I told my wife I was going to go out and just walk around the big block picking up litter, but it ended up 2 hours later getting home because there was a lot of trash that was thrown on the other side of the ecology blocks. And I happened to even find 2 Cabbage Patch dolls, which are in great shape. So if anybody here would like a Cabbage Patch doll, I got 2 of them. So speak up before I pass them off to Goodwill.
Larry, where do you stage litter that you've picked
Oh.
up and bagged?
Yeah, good point, John. I always stage my, what I pick up at the corner of 84th and 46th Avenue underneath the double black arrow sign on the south side of the street. And it's always picked up. So both Pierce County Parks, they have a guy that supposedly comes by in the morning and checks things out, and will pick that garbage up. And there's also, I think, pretty much on a daily basis, Pierce County road crews kind of swing by to see if there's anything that needs to be picked up. Or obviously, if somebody's called in a illegal dumping, then they'll respond to that pretty quick. I would also like to point out that Pierce County Ordinance 2021-8S2, which is the 2030 Sustainability Plan, which is being created, which created a to-do list to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by 2030. That passed the Pierce County Council on March the 23rd by a vote of 6-1. And of interest to the Summit Waller area, there is one of the goals, and that goal says, quote, significantly increase the amount of bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure with a focus on creating accessibility in the urban area and connections to cities. And it's the connections to cities part that might just affect pipeline trail development. It could possibly speed the completion of that trail up. Currently, phase 1 of the trail goes from 72nd and Waller to the east gate at Orange Gate Park. So I just thought I'd let everybody know about that.
Anything else, Larry?
Dawn has a question.
Yeah, one day last week about noon, I was driving on 84th towards Canyon, and I noticed a significant number of cars. Several of them were Pierce County Parks, and a couple of them were like a youth work party or something like that, it appeared. And then I didn't go in or stop, but does anybody know of any activity? Because I was in a couple of days later and I could find no evidence of any kind of a work party activity at all.
Yeah, I can speak to that. There is the Washington Conservation Corps. They have a vehicle that's there and has been there most every day for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And periodically there's a couple of other Pierce County vehicles that are there. They're working on clearing brush and stuff south of 84th Street. And they've been contracted pretty much full time with Pierce County Parks to help them with clearing stuff in parks. So supposedly they're clearing everything around the trails. I haven't lately had time to go back and actually see exactly what improvements they're doing. One gentleman told me that they're clearing brush in areas that didn't help the trails, but I've heard them working out in the woods, so they are doing something out there. And if I have time later in the next couple of weeks, I'll check that out.
Yeah,
Well-
I've seen some pretty large trees that have been cut too that look like they had fallen down in the recent windstorm this season. So I assumed that that's
Yeah,
who was doing the work.
Well, when
Well,
they,
I
when they-
don't think that it's the Washington Conservation Corps. I think that was pretty much Scott Bird that did the majority, if not all, of the cutting of any size logs off trails.
Oh, okay.
That's after the January windstorm.
Hmm.
well, if this
If
group of
there's been
people,
more recent, then maybe they've done that. Maybe the Washington Conservation Corps people have cleared some logs off trails that maybe that have fallen down in the last few weeks, but
Okay.
Don?
if they're doing clearing then, Larry, are they just throwing it off the trail further into the brush and just stacking it? They're not hauling it out to any gathering point. Is that correct?
yeah, yes, they are not hauling it out to be disposed of, as far as I know.
Okay, now we're still on the topic of Orange Gate Park, and the title of that's highlighted in blue was sent out as a plan update. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I did not see anything that was an update, more of a rehash of what was presented in late last year, I believe it was, on the community input, fill out your desires from the three proposed presentations of the new park plan. So what was the update? What new was in this latest release?
Nothing since our last meeting. It's just a place where you can go and check to see if they've got anything new out.
Okay, that's good.
I will say that Tiffany Odell actually messaged me earlier today and wanted to know if I had a few minutes to check in. She was trying to get an understanding of, kind of get a general feel for like what's being said in the community and what they should be doing for next steps. And I mean, we talk about Orange Gate every month, but we haven't specifically really talked too much about any of the proposals that we saw earlier this year. So I wanted to maybe poll the board members here, or what maybe your expectations are of the county that's next. Do you have any concerns, questions? I'd be happy to take those back to Tiffany when I talk to her, hopefully tomorrow or the next day.
Well, getting
Well, I
back to
think
what, go ahead.
Just a second. I think for sure, getting back to Tiffany on the removal of the Scotch broom underneath the power lines by either Bonneville Power or Tacoma Power is, I mean, if they could do that tomorrow, it'd be great, because there's just going to be all kinds of problems in that Scotch broom in the near future if that's not taken care of pretty quick.
Okay.
And then getting back to what Don was talking about with the community surveys, it would be kind of nice to get a summary of the type of feedback that the county received on that, and where it suggests that the county parks planners might be going with one of the plans, and also a little bit more of what's your timeline so we can expect to see things happening. And if
Okay.
things aren't, then we know that we need to get on our county council about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wasn't
the three plans that presented, even though they were individual, were still quite abstract in what and how they were going to do anything. So until we know what the public results are and where the county thinks they're going, you know, is the county gonna go what the majority of the respondents requested?
Okay.
Since there's so many logs down in the park creating a fire hazard, what does the Parks Department plan to do about that?
Yeah, I think I brought this up before. There's so much down saleable timber that it isn't hard to get a small track vehicle that'll pull out an 8-foot piece of luggage that would certainly add a financial benefit to the county. Maybe it would just be a wash for the cost of somebody going in there, but a small logger could do it without tearing up the real estate.
I have one more FYI about Orange Gate.
Mhm.
Just dawned on me. The street light that was taken out by a tree that came across 84th Street in January. That street light was replaced this last week and at our request. And it's one of the new LED street lights to boot.
Hmm. So does anybody have any other feedback for Angela?
If not, you guys can always email me, give me a call. I'll let you know what Tiffany and I talk about. I'll just give you guys the summary. I'll probably just send a short email out and let you guys know.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Angela.
Okay, we'll move on to the pipeline trail. I put in the WWRP funding in the legislature for wilderness and recreation. I had personally contacted all three of my state representatives, encouraging them to support it. I did not receive any feedback from any of them. I've not also heard any more from the organization that originally had put out a notification about the possibility of losing these funds, which would have impacted the further progress of the trail going through Orange Gate. So that's where we are with that particular piece. Canyon Rim Estates, I was hoping Dan would be here tonight, but he emailed me saying that he had a other commitment that he had to go to. I did attend the hearing that was on March 3rd. I can't say that it went well or went poorly. I don't know. It really is all up to the hearing examiner and which way the hearing examiner decides to go with the arguments. But I certainly think that we had a good case for limiting the number of homes that are built along the edge of the rim.
You know, Bob, if there is a certain time frame in which the hearing examiner needs to provide their quote decision
I don't.
or ruling, okay.
Yeah, I've not seen anything on that as far as a timeline.
Okay. Because I've got another property that I'm tracking in the Collins Creek area that they had the hearing and then it just kind of disappeared. So the neighbors are asking me, "Hey, what's going on with that?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I guess we just have to ask." But I thought that there would be a time. I'm sure there's a time frame associated with it, but I just don't know what it is. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and that's something where I could even just send a note to the staffer who's in
Mhm.
charge of all the paperwork and ask her what that timeline is. I do know that the hearing examiner is just a private attorney who works for the county hearing these.
Mhm. Mhm.
So It's however important it is to that person versus their other workload as far as getting this out.
Okay.
And then something that I'm sure will make Don a little bit happier is that, yes, the compression braking ordinance for Canyon Road is passed. There is a signed final ordinance I linked to. The one thing that I think we should probably watch for is, and find out about, is where they plan on putting signs. I imagine that they're not going to do it necessarily right away, considering that with the widening of Canyon Road, there's a lot of construction going on and plenty of temporary signs. And so they probably aren't going to put in a sign somewhere where in another 6 months or a year, they're going to tear out the sign and have to replace it. However, I would expect that there would be one somewhere near 104th and Canyon. Don, thoughts
I
about?
would,
Yeah. I would anticipate, and maybe one halfway down our community Facebook page. There was, it got a little bit of attention when I posted that it had been passed, but it's still, I think, the right way to go.
Yeah, considering that a recent Saturday morning, I was woken up, but I think it was, or no, it was a Sunday because I had to make sure the garbage was out. But about like 5:30 or 6, I heard a Jake break out at 72nd Canyon.
Yeah, well, a lot of these that you hear are what in the trade is referred to as cowboys. And the ones you are hearing are actually running straight exhaust. There's no muffler whatsoever, which is illegal in itself to start with. So this will be a compound issue. And if you get the name on the side of the truck and find out who they're hauling for, a phone call will be the quickest way to halt that. There's a couple of companies that are pretty local that haul on contract for, let's see, one is the Harris Rebar up there. The other one is a piping company. And they're the biggest offenders, but it's going to continue to grow unless it's monitored.
And that's where I was going to be going, was possibly organizing some people. If you can identify particular times of the day, maybe where it's worse, and if somebody wants to go out and take a lawn chair and sit along Canyon for a little while with a video camera or their phone, and if they hear that, they can pull it out, get some picture, and we could use that as evidence, submit it to the county.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting pretty close to it.
Okay.
I would think that they would put up signage fairly soon because that ordinance passed on this March the 16th, was signed by the executive on March the 22nd, and it actually went into effect April the 1st.
Okay, here's the kicker on that, Larry. In talking to some of those sign people from the county maintenance office, the only signage that they're getting is what's coming that they order out of Eastern Washington. Now, I don't know what kind of contract that is, but there's nobody that's building signs for Pierce County roads that I'm aware of. Even, what is it, Zuma over there on South Tacoma?
Doesn't the county do its own signs in-house now?
Not according to him, that the orders are sent to a company in Eastern Washington. Or maybe that was the state.
That could be the state, because I do know that in regard to signage that organizations have put up with grant money from the Landmarks Historic Preservation Commission, oftentimes they go through the county sign shop to have those signs made.
Yeah, okay. Well, the no compression brakes sign on 512 westbound at the Canyon Road exit was missing for about 4 months, and then all of a sudden it got replaced. So some vehicle must have hit it and taken it out. But the signage refers to the on and off ramps on both east and west sides of the freeway. So the new signage will only pertain to basically, depending on how they flag it, from the north edge of the exit on the freeway to 72nd. You can come down from 204th way out at the other end of Frederickson. There's no restrictions on Jake brakes out there, but that's so industrialized that I don't know what they want to do. That's their deal.
Okay. Well, and moving on, the annual newsletter report. There's been some discussion in email about that, about content, about length. Jen, do you have anything to contribute about that? You want to take that up? Is she with us?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
There she goes.
Hi. I had to find the unmute.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I grabbed our newsletter from last year and I deleted pages so we could sort of start over with a smaller format. And then I think you said you were going to call the print company, Bob, and
Oh, geez.
ask
Yeah,
about
oh, Mark.
just we were going to try to be a little bit more concise and economical this year and bring the pricing down a little bit is what we were talking about. And then you just all have to tell me what you want in it and I'll play around with it. And then I'll send it to Gabe to double check everything and we'll get her moving.
Okay.
So what I sent out today was just playing around. I sent it to Angela, you and Gabe, and I just started with just playing around. Nothing there has to be in there. We can pull it out. I was just fussing with it and wanting feedback on whether you wanted the same colors, or I wasn't specific when I said that, but that's what I'm wanting to know. Do you want it kind of the same as it was last year for continuity, or do you want to change things up and have really specific, concise formatting in it and colors and whatnot? Or does that matter? I mean, I don't know that people even pay that much attention. So
I think black and white's probably still fine. And we were I wouldn't say struggling, but we were pushing to fill all the space, and there's still an awful lot of empty space and very large print on last year's. So I don't see why we couldn't cut it down to a single fold 4-page. That should still provide plenty. My little piece could be a half a page. It wouldn't need to take up a whole page. And I got most of it down. There's still trying to figure out how I want to end it, but almost there.
And I didn't respond to your email, Angela, but I knew that wasn't necessarily your final copy. I was just throwing it in there so you could see what it was looking like at this point.
Sure. Yeah. The only thing that I have left to add to my article, and then it'll be done, is John had a really good suggestion is, we're talking about the board is focusing its efforts on the following actions in 2021. And we had holding Adopt a Road litter cleanup tentatively planned for the fall. So John's like, well, maybe we should just pick a date and then say it's tentative. And then if, things change, we can always use Facebook and our website to let people know. So if the board is amenable to setting a tentative date, I'm happy to include that in the article.
Okay.
knowing that who knows what the heck's going to happen between now and September. So
Of course. The only reason I did a little blurb on the compression brakes is even though it's well hashed out on our team here, the public doesn't really necessarily know about it.
Mhm.
And I thought that it was maybe a good idea to point out that it kind of went along exactly with your article. Here's what we are doing for you, that we're sort of
Mhm.
the spokespeople for the neighborhood. Don noticed a problem, he acted on it,
Yep.
he got some action, he got something done, and I thought we should point that out to the neighborhood.
Yep.
If it isn't needed, we could take it out. My feelings aren't hurt, but that's why I typed it up and just put it in there as a thought.
No,
I like the shorter
Always-
format.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to be the guy that the ribbon is pinned off, because that becomes a target.
You want me to take your name out of it, Dawn? I'll just say a board member.
Yeah, one of our distinguished board members.
I'll make sure I put distinguished.
Well, actually,
I thought you were,
it was Pearl's idea.
So one of the
I
things
thought
that
we were
we
gonna
might
put-
try to do on the newsletters, encourage people more towards the more up-to-date live changes happening on Facebook and on the website. Just
Mhm.
encouraging people to take more of an opportunity to go there, because you can get up-to-date information there instead of something that we put out in print next month and then it's
Yeah.
old within 2-3 months and it's no longer relevant.
Yeah.
Right. I sometimes think that the newsletter is reaching the population who isn't as computer savvy, who still likes something in the mail. We just can't differentiate who those people are
Right.
necessarily. So, but that's kind of the point of it, I think.
Yeah. As the demographic shifts, you're going to have more people more technically, interested in going online. Facebook isn't so much just for kids anymore. So, it's all age groups. And so more people have moved over to that. So having something in writing about what we have done and the accomplishments are really good for sure. And just reminding people that we do have that digital thing for more up to date. So you can stay involved all the time instead of the one-time newsletter a year.
So do you want to print that little blurb up?
Yeah, that'd be a quick thing.
And the one thing I wish-
newsletter,
Go ahead, Blair.
the newsletter, I'm assuming will have a May 2021 publish date on it. And if so, when would you like to have other articles submitted?
I'm just doing it now. I'm starting now. I have it sitting on my computer. When you send stuff, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. I'm importing it in there, copying and pasting and wiggling it around and making it fit the space. And when it's all filled up, either we have a online meeting and discuss whether we're done with 4 pages. That's the goal. That's what we want. And what do we take out if we have too much? Or we talk about adding another page. But I think you can't do a single page. I think it has to, if there's a certain
That'd
way
be a
to,
double page.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
doing twos.
we'll have to pick and choose if we're going for the 4 pages. But I don't really have a specific end date. I want to get it done before some other disaster keeps descending upon my head. So I think most of you know I've been doing elder care since the beginning of March. And my husband's taking his spring break and going up there and giving me a break. But now I'm trying to get the kids caught up with homeschool, and I have classes I'm taking as well. So I just feel like it's hailing, and this is fine. This is not anything hard. It's something I can do while the kids are homeschooling, but I just want to get it done when it's done. I don't want to, a May date would be good.
And this isn't a complicated job. In my experience with Mark is that it's usually a few days. If it's a week, that's exceptionally long.
Mhm.
So it shouldn't take long for him to get those out.
One more question about how the print comes out. Now, if we do include pictures, is it, if you're going to contact them, is it okay if we do it in color for the digital and they just render it in black and white. And
Yeah.
in that way, it
Yeah.
looks better if they're downloading the.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay.
I don't
We
know
do
how
have-
many pictures we'll have room for. I'm not sure how many pictures we'll have room for if we're doing 4 pages.
If
Because
four is too
once-
short, pictures will fill it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Just a point of order here. I think I'll have a short article on Birds Mill Road going through Orange Gate, real short. Also, we talked about possibly including in our newsletter, Angela suggested that maybe we have contact information for our 25th legislative district representatives in the newsletter. Although I think the session might be over by the time our newsletter comes out.
Oh,
But then
yeah, that's a
again,
good point.
people can contact their representatives throughout the whole year.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And currently, I don't think we have a current mailing list that's up to date. And that's going to have to be worked on before we can send it out.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure Russell Reed's not going to have a whole lot of time, although I can talk with him. His wife updated the mailing list, I think, before last year's mailing. But right now, I know that there's been new people added. There's other people that have dropped off. So we'll have to get together with Russell to find out how soon we can have an updated membership list or mailing list.
Okay. Are you going to do the legislative representative update, Larry?
Yeah, I'll have that to you in the next couple of days.
Okay. I just want to make sure I know who's doing what.
Well, I'd recommend that if we're going to do that, that we also include contact information for Marty, since that's actually the person our community members would be engaging more.
Mhm.
And then,
No problem. That'll get done.
and then also I believe we're entirely in the 10th Congressional District. And so, possibly include that. And all of that could be easily gotten from the League of
Yeah.
Women Voters. They always they've got handouts all the time with how to contact your legislators.
Okay, we can do Marty, the 25th Legislative District, our 10th Congressional District U.S. Representative, and contact information for our 2 U.S. Senators.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I think we can probably make all that fit, but there's not much more. So if there's something really crucial that somebody comes up with, we might have to take a vote.
Well, and
Okay.
with the congressional members, it can just be a phone number too.
Right.
All right. Anything else anybody has regarding the newsletter?
Yes, can we settle on a tentative date for the litter pickup in September?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
Good
just
point.
tentative, just a placeholder. Things could change.
This usually happens on a weekend historically.
So it'd be September 11th or the 18th or even as late as the 25th. But I'm going to defer to our Adopt a Road Litter coordinator, John.
You need to unmute yourself, John.
How about the 18th?
Okay.
I vote for the 18th.
Yep, that'd be fine.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it won't, we will be in Florida then.
Speaking of meetings, or I mean of dates, annual meeting, there had been some discussion of possibly scheduling a tentative one for this fall. What are your thoughts on that?
Talking about an in-person or a Zoom?
Mhm.
Hmm. I don't know. I like the fall idea. And the way vaccinations are going, we might be able to have it in person.
If we have it in person and the Mid-County Community Center is still not open yet, I think we can still have it, but we would have to totally disinfect the facility before we leave.
And a Zoom meeting is certainly an option for that. I mean, it's one way to guarantee that we're going to be able to pull this off and not have to contact people and say, sorry, we're going to have to wait longer. Plus, even if we do meet in person, even with people getting vaccinations, there are going to be some people who are resistant to it and aren't going to be vaccinated. We'd still probably need to be asking people to mask up. And the last meeting I remember was pretty well attended, which meant that people were shoulder to shoulder, and we're not going to be able to sit like that either.
Mm-hmm.
So just those issues are still going to be there, even if we are vaccinated.
And with the construction of the new elementary school, the parking situation at the Mid-County Community Center
Yeah.
has been cut down, so it's there's going to be less parking spaces available.
Yeah, there's very few parking spaces right now.
Do you think it would be possible to hold it at maybe I don't know, a school gym of some sort where we can have more parking available? Evergreen Lutheran's leaping out to me. They don't have a huge gym, but they've got a good parking area, so it might work. And we could space people out more.
That would work, Jen, as long as we're not required to have our own liability insurance. School districts tend to require that you have liability insurance, and to have liability insurance for one meeting has been a problem. Getting that has been a problem. Of course, that was several years ago when I looked into that.
Okay.
Isn't there a community center that's kind of small, that's over in Midland?
It's tiny.
Yeah, near
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Is outdoor an option?
September is nice. It could be.
Saturday afternoon?
Right after
make-
Adopt a Road.
That's what I was gonna say. Incorporate it with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Could
because
have it the 5th of October, which would be our normal meeting night. Excuse me.
only question is, if we were outside, what's sundown for 5th of October?
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
It's 6:40 p.m.
yeah.
I just looked it up.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty early. If we're going to have even an hour-long program, to have to start at 5:30 would be difficult, given that most people are eating dinner at that time.
So if you did it with the Adopt a Road in September, you had to do it before and send everyone off with their trash bags and gloves and whatever. afterwards, or you do it after the event to congratulate everybody on their hard work.
Hmm.
Something
Are
open
we
like
looking at a
Lidford
Zoom?
Park, or if I'm just talking if we're going to do outdoors, and get away
Yeah.
from the whole having to worry about that close quarters thing.
Mhm.
Let's see. What are our park possibilities?
Big and open, Lidford is probably the only one
Lidford?
available. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Lidford. Is there parking there?
there is around the
Yeah.
outside on the street, and then the main parking along the along 44th Avenue.
What about accessibility for people with walking issues and whatnot?
They have an ADA compliant ramp now.
Mobility issues.
Yeah, there's an ADA compliant ramp going down to the trail
Okay.
that goes around it now.
Hmm.
So maybe we could get some tent donations and borrow chairs and do it outdoors.
So the only possibility of an issue of maybe having to rent, or if somebody has one, is a PA.
Mhm.
That outdoor thing, would that be like maybe in the month of August, perhaps?
Angela,
Yeah,
you're
the
muted.
one thing that would worry me about it, if we were in a place that did not have a large covered area, would be, what if it rains?
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that you should find out, is there a authorization from parks on that type of a usage?
Probably have to just schedule it, assuming that it would be available for one of the dates that we picked. Because it does get used for youth sports, doesn't it? Or maybe not.
I don't know.
Well, they took out the baseball field. There are no goalposts. I don't know whether soccer teams work out there, or maybe a lacrosse team might work. I don't know, but there are really no sports paraphernalia or infrastructure at Lidford Field.
So it's essentially a big rectangle of grass with the parking area along the street.
And then a walking trail around
Right.
that side. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's really
Hmm.
simplified now. They're supposed to put backstop at some point, but I think last year kind of halted everything.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, it would be interesting if we were to do it. It would be nice to connect it to the litter pickup and maybe do it before, as a way to, maybe get a few more people who might join us for doing that, to decide to do it. And then, after, have your potluck somewhere, as opposed to trying to do it after, because when you're done for the day with doing your litter pickup, some people might be a little bit tired and aren't really going to be, listening all that well, let's say. But I still lean towards the Zoom meeting, because it's something that we can actually guarantee, and we can put it at a time that might be easier for people to participate. Any other thoughts? Do we want?
Yes and no. Some thoughts, not sure if I'm wanting to share them.
No, go ahead. I'm open. I'm just.
Well, I don't know if it's, I'm speaking without knowledge as to whether it would work out or not, but
Mhm.
I run a kids program on the backfield of the church. And last summer they held their services and I held my kids program outdoor. We had the PA. It's a big grassy area. So if Lidford doesn't work out, that might be a backup plan. I'd have to get permissions and I'd have to recruit somebody to do the sound, but I have a friend that does the sound with me every year for my kids program, and we're friends, and he would do it for me if he wasn't busy.
Well, and if you can find out if the school would require a
That's
liability.
not the school. That would be the congregation I attend.
Oh, okay.
So then I just don't know if anyone's uncomfortable with that or if everyone's okay with that. Everyone was fine with doing food after the
Yeah.
park pickup, but as far as holding our meeting there and combining it seems like a lot of the logistics that we're talking about with Lidford Field might work out if the church leadership said yes to having it there. I mean, we've got the tents, we've got the PA, we've got the field, we've got the space.
Okay.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
It sounds like a good
Sounds
option.
good.
It's a possibility. That's all I could say. My friend Dan is bribed with home cooked meals and yummy desserts, so I can provide that. And he'll probably do the sound for us. So it'd just be a matter of getting permission and that sort of thing.
Okay. And if we're not looking at doing this until August or September, we have a little bit of time to work on this. So,
Except for we
I
just want to be able
know
to announce it
that they-
inside the paper, though.
They did pack up everything after the Labor Day, and they packed everything up and hauled it back inside. So there's some questions, but I was going to do the kids program outdoors again this year. I prefer it outdoors. It's fun for the kids and they like to get wet and crazy and such. So I think if they can haul it back out for me for that, then they can haul it back out one more time for us. So, I mean, I don't know.
well, and Gabe, sound like you mentioned that it wouldn't be in the newsletter. I mean, one possibility might be we send out a postcard to our members.
That's actually a
We
really good
could say
idea.
that, we could say in the newsletter that we are planning a in-person membership and community meeting in the fall. And then just pointing out that watch our website for further details.
I do like the postcard. It's a good idea to send out that'll hit everybody else that's not necessarily paying attention to those two places.
Okay. So I guess Jen will check with her church about possibly being able to utilize that. That sounds like a very good option.
I'll put it on the deacon agenda. For another 2 months, my husband's a deacon, so I'll make sure it goes through while he's on it.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jen.
It's worth a try. They could say no, so I'm not gonna, they could say no, but it's worth a try. They
Sure.
want to they do, what's in our favor is they want to be a part of the community. They want to connect with the community. And what we have going up in April is we approved and constructed a little pantry box, and once they they do their thing and they install it and they have the congregation members sign up for times to check the box, they would like me to put it on the Facebook page and encourage the community to fill up the box. That's something we voted on to do, to be a part of our community. So with that interest, that's why I think that they would be likely to say yes, is because they're very anxious to connect with the summit and the east side and the Midland communities wherever possible.
Great.
So
I
And-
would also like to point out that if we do have our event at the church, in the back of the church, and I've seen the grassy lawn out back, it's pretty sizable and could easily accommodate our event, that we consider a donation to their church for the purposes of allowing us
No.
to have our event there.
That's really kind, Larry. That's really kind and thoughtful, but being part of the community is also giving and not, I want to make a distinct line. I already feel like it could be, some people could see it as an overstep or I don't know what word I'm trying to grasp for, but just not be okay with it because of a separation with church and everything else. But so I just want to keep the lines really clear. Like this would be a gift and just
Yeah.
us being part of the community and doing our part. We have a facility, we have a sound system, our board has a need and our community wants to gather and meet and do the things we talk about at our annual meeting. And that if the two align, then that's what should just happen without anything else, any strings or any donations or any whatever.
Well, most churches charge a fee for using their facilities, and lots of times there's a contract that has to be brought up. It has to be signed and all that. I'm not exactly sure whether an event like that could just be a gift.
Okay, well, that's a good point. So I'll check with those things then.
Well, I got a point in that regard is that perhaps it would be in the best interest that a Santa Can facilities be provided so you don't have 200 people making a march to the bathrooms in the church.
Oh,
And they've got Santa cans with lavatories in them of flowers and hot water.
well, let's just see what the church says first and then let's move from there. And I'll find out whether there's a little contract or anything that needs to be done.
I'll look into the Lidford Park option. It doesn't look like currently public gatherings, events, team sports, or other activities are permitted on Parks property. So let me do a little sleuthing and see if I can call the right person and find out more information. I'll let you guys know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I guess this one kind of goes to Gabe. There's been some discussion on consistent use of logos and imaging. And so where are we seeing that we need to improve on that?
All right, so just back to the original conversation we had about this was just making sure that the letterhead and the format of all the publications we produce just have a pre-done template. So whenever we create something, it has a consistent look to it.
Okay.
And so that's Word documents, the newsletter, even down to the treasurer's report, that type of thing. So I got the last piece of the puzzle was Russell's report. So I wanted to see what he started off with. He sent that to me. So at this point now, the next step is just to go through and try it and then get your input and adjust or make it a go. And then we just have a repository of the files that we can then use going forward for the organization.
Okay, sounds good. All right, new business. And this was something that I thought I'd bring up since recently, and this is actually at Lidford Field, on Nextdoor. I've seen some discussions going on of some drug dealing in the community and people not feeling like they're getting much of a response from the county sheriff's department. And I was kind of wondering if this has come up in the past, what the board has done, if we, pushed through. Now that the sheriff is independent of the council, so I don't know if going to Marty about this or if we go directly to the sheriff's department or, what we want to do and kind of going off of, have we dealt with this before? This been an issue, Larry?
Well, the pandemic has caused police authorities to make priorities on who they're going to arrest for what.
Mhm.
And even before the pandemic, I think the biggest issue that irritates your average citizen is along the lines of enforcement. You know, if you have a break-in, you know, it's possible you might get somebody to come out and dust for prints, maybe not. Most minor crimes, you have to just file a police report and deal with it yourself. But I think nowadays, you know, if you catch a person chopping out your catalytic converter, there really isn't much you can do, even if you call the sheriff's department. They may or may not even come out. So enforcement and punishment for crimes seems to be a big issue with the people that I talk to. They're frustrated.
Mhm.
You see somebody illegal dumping, probably not going to have anything done. If you see drug dealing going on, may or may not have a response. And even if you take pictures or video, it usually leads to nothing.
Mhm. Okay, I just thought I'd ask and see if this has been an issue in the past, and like I say, if you've done anything about it. But yeah, it's just something that I saw pop up in next door, so I thought I'd bring that here. Okay, is there anything else that anybody has that they'd like to bring up that's important?
You have a few items just to bring to your attention, just real quick. The Mid-County Advisory Commission will have their regular meeting next Tuesday at 6:30. And I sent everyone a notice on that. So if you're interested in tuning into that, you have the information. The next item is I did submit to Marty Campbell our street light request for 2021 with a street light at Woodland and 100th Street East, Woodland and 102nd Street East, and reiterated our top priority for the third time, a street light at the intersection of 84th Street. Excuse me. There's also one more at the utility pole just east of the intersection of 84th Street East and 46th Avenue East. And then our top priority was for the third time, a request for a street light at Waller Road and 48th Avenue, even if a new utility pole has to be installed to have that street light at that intersection. And supposedly, either this month or next month, we should see something coming along to the Pierce County Council, which will list all of the approved requests or submitted requests from all 7 of the districts into one proposal coming along here pretty soon. So I will try and keep everyone up to date on that.
Now, to follow up with your NCAC meeting note, I received that as well. If you take a look at the meeting agenda, there's one item, and what it is the Rite Aid that's there on the corner of 112th and Canyon. They're asking for a variance because the current code is a limit of 30 square feet for signs. What they're proposing to do is they're going to take down the awning that's a large sign and is, I can't remember, like over a couple of 100 square feet. It's quite big. And they have a sign that's 31.8 square feet that they want to move from one side of the building to another. And so they're just asking for a variance on that 30 square feet to move the small sign.
Hmm.
So it should be a pretty quick meeting.
That's the only thing you have on your agenda that day?
That's the only thing my wife does, yeah.
Or that should be a short meeting.
Yes. And I don't know if anybody heard about the most recent fatality collision that happened yesterday. A semi that was hauling crushed cars yesterday morning around 7:30, I believe. Didn't have any brakes and fortunately did not hit any vehicles going through the intersection of Waller and Pioneer. Crashed into the furniture construction building that's across the street. Driver was killed in that. And so that's our third traffic fatality within like I think 17 days maybe.
Mm.
So I'd already been thinking about ending my president's address with a little bit about being careful, taking it easy, taking that extra second to look around before you move at intersections, because we had the one at the bottom of 72nd. The second one, well, that was just, young drivers being stupid. And then this other one was a brake failure, but still you don't want to be in front of something like that. So, we all need to be careful. Anything else, anybody else?
I noticed that there's been new and expanded signage traveling eastbound down 72nd to Woodland on the two curves there.
Yes. Yeah, they recently added some more signs there.
They're brighter and
But
they're
traffic
actually
tends to
dual
go,
side. They're dual visibility. So going up and down, you see them highly reflective.
Mhm. People still go pretty fast down that hill though.
And
Yeah.
all right, well, it's been fun, but do we have a motion to adjourn?
I actually had one more.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to take the temperature of the board on an idea that I've been kind of rattling around in my brain. So if you'll indulge me for just a minute. One of the things that kind of popped into my brain as I was driving home one day was in the some of the cities of Tacoma, some cities in Seattle, other areas, as well as even our own area of Midland, had some of their utility boxes, which are pretty drab and boring, wrapped with an artwork. And we don't have any of those in Summit Waller. They're all just boring old drab utility boxes that sit at the intersections and either get graffitied or ignored. I thought, well, I wonder if we could do something like that in Summit Waller. And if so, I don't know anything about where to start, but I was going to potentially look into it. But I wanted to just check to see if the board thought that that was something we would be interested in pursuing and supporting. I'm not suggesting we spend a ton of money on it, but it'd probably just be more of my personal time. So I guess I'll just ask that. How interested do you think Summit Waller residents would be in seeing that throughout the community?
I don't know what Summit Waller residents think, but I love those utility boxes in Tacoma, and the kids and I love looking at the artwork that people have done, and we think they spruce up the neighborhoods and just make things look nice and fun, and I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It takes a necessary object that has to be there for utilitarian reasons, but makes it a little bit less drab and
Well, maybe if we were able to work, say, with like an art teacher, either at FP or Puyallup, and have it as a student project, yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I was thinking definitely not like commissioning an artist to do the work because that costs a lot of money. I was
Yes.
just reading an article, the city of Tacoma spent like $45,000 on that. I'm like, I don't think we're going to be doing that. But I was thinking more if there was an artist in the community that wanted to donate, or maybe there was some kids art, as part of a church or a school art project that we might do. Yeah, or like you said, an art teacher, that sort of thing. Or maybe there's just somebody that lives in the neighborhood that's really talented. I mean, my neighbor next door is a really great artist. So just thinking about people that could be willing to donate their artwork for us to get those printed.
Mhm.
Now, the cost of getting them printed, I haven't even a clue, haven't looked into it, but I just wanted to, like I said, just get a sense that people were interested in pursuing that.
What type of,
The ones that own those utility boxes, are they in favor of it?
I haven't asked yet.
Now, that would be
You guys are my first stop.
your utility companies, right?
Yeah, or the count. A lot of times it's the county, or it's a utility company, or I figured I'd do a little bit more research. I have
Yeah.
done none so far except read one article in the News Tribune that I just pulled up as we were talking. So
Does anybody get a bill from anything other than PSC for power?
no,
Yeah.
TPU.
I get,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. The
Power.
other side of Canyon. Lucky people. Well, and if TPU's already had it going on in the city, there certainly shouldn't be an issue with the ones that they own.
Mhm.
what utility boxes specifically are we actually talking about here?
Basically, those that sit at intersections, they're basically the street light. Or sometimes they're the phone company, or I mean, I guess it just depends on
Okay,
those drab green boxes that sit at intersections, or the silver boxes that are either boring and drab or they're graffitied.
Mhm.
well, they're obviously putting in brand new ones at 84th and Canyon and 96th and Canyon. They're
Yes,
brand
they
new.
are. I thought it might be a cool way for people to, hey, I'm in Summit Waller. There's some unique features that we would want to feature on some of those boxes.
Mhm.
Maybe, just, I don't know, haven't thought too far beyond that much, but
Student art contest.
Or even just full community plus kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
Because they're not unique. If you go around enough in Tacoma, there's duplicates. You'll see they're printing them, and
Yeah, if they were all unique, that would add to the cost incredibly.
Yeah, and I don't really know how many we would want to do. Maybe there's key intersections that we'd want to focus on just as a start. Maybe there's, at the entrances to the community, maybe there's, maybe there's just some like 3 or 4 or 5 key ones that we'd really want to focus on first, and then we could go from there.
maybe it'd be the opportunity for somebody to donate towards the cost as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll have to look for those because I have not seen any of those, but I'm trying to picture how it would be done, given that you've got doors that have to open and
Uh-huh.
it's not a nice smooth surface. So applying any kind of a wrap, I'm curious to see how that's done.
Yeah, it may not work on every utility box. Like the one in Midland, which is right at Portland Avenue and 99th.
Mhm.
Portland
They
99th. Yeah.
That was actually a kind of a big deal. I remember former council member Rick Talbert was involved with getting that done. So the community really pushed for it and wanted it. And I don't think it was a very expensive project for them either.
You're speaking of vinyl wraps.
Mhm.
Yeah. hmm
I thought those were on the pricey list.
Have no idea, Dawn. I haven't done a shred of investigation
So
as to what they would cost.
There's some significant costs involved. When you approached it, I was thinking of, some kids with some cans of paint and a brush.
Mhm.
That was
Well,
kind
and
of my idea as well.
You get
There-
into vinyl graphics and you're talking some significant dollars. We've had our commercial vehicles vinyl wrapped in it. It was no nickel dime operation.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
there
and
might be some standard sizing and stuff that they've already got in some places because they do it so often now. It's not just Tacoma. Lots of cities do this. Lots of them.
Yeah. The other thing too is we could see if they could just be painted
Mhm.
by an artist or kids or high school art teacher or a resident that's an artist. Yeah.
So the
Well,
one in
they-
Midland. Oh, sorry. The one in Midland is actually specifically about Midland, which is actually a nicer one. I know which one you're
Mhm.
talking about. But just for
Yep.
examples of some of the artwork that's been put out on Pacific and 72nd, right there at the Rite Aid parking lot. You'll see one on the street side there on the corner. There's also one further down. I can't remember what the name of the bank is, but 84th and Pacific. They're all over
Mhm.
the place.
Yeah. Well, if you go around to a lot of these bridge abutments, railroad crossings, sit next to a railroad track and marvel at the spray can graffiti and the artistry that goes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, with the art teachers, I was thinking more that's a way to get to kids. Maybe if they have a
Mhm.
particular student who's very talented,
Mhm.
Could be a person that we would work with.
Yeah. That's how I volunteer for the Tacoma Propeller Club, and we have a big fundraiser every year. And we have this form, just like a pamphlet to let people know of this big event that we had each year. And it was a plain old boring Word document that you literally it was a form that you filled out. And we wanted to spruce it up and turn it into kind of a tri-folding colored form. And I called I don't even remember, it's been so many years now, I called a random teacher at Clover Park Technical College and said, do you have a graphics design class? Do you have any students that would be interested in a project? And sure enough, this girl said, I'm going to do it. She designed us this entire trifold brochure with photos and graphics, and we still use it today. And she got credit for it for her class, and we got it for free. And because we were, an organization that couldn't really pay for it. So kind of hoping the good karma will follow me again in this idea. But I just, like I said, I wanted to see what the board's thoughts on it were of like, yeah, you'd support it, or no, you think it's a complete waste of time, or you're kind of neutral somewhere in the middle. You need more information, it sounds like. So
But the community can always use a little art, a
I
little
mean-
cure. Oh, nice.
So there's one of them right there. That's that bank I was telling you about. And then for
Mhm.
the oh wow, didn't want it to go 3D.
I
And if we
think
go to the
I'm feeling
99th
a consensus of approval.
yeah, it's something that it's actually pretty cool. So
I haven't heard from John or Chris. What do you guys think? Oh, getting a thumbs up from John. Thank
I
you.
think it's a good idea.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
and that's the one in Midland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's- I mean,
okay.
it's-
Yeah, historic.
Mhm.
I thought that was just a sign.
No, that was, I mean, they had like a ribbon cutting and everything for that thing. That was a big deal for the community to do. So I need to talk to Mark Williams to see if he can recall how the council's office was involved. And
You can
I
start with
also think
some
it's a
key
good idea
locations
for-
to get the ball rolling at minimum.
Mhm.
I
What was
was gonna
that,
say, I
Chris?
think it'd be a good idea for it to be like an art project for, a high school or the college, and
Yeah.
they could even incorporate our, logo or whatever into it.
Mhm. Mhm.
We'll
Yeah.
have
Maybe-
our outdoor meeting right underneath that canopy across the street.
Maybe some of the key locations, for example, 112th and Canyon close to the library. And well, on all 4 intersections, really, wherever the boxes are. Maybe some of the businesses might sponsor, like one could be about reading in the Pierce County Library, or I don't know, maybe some of the businesses can sponsor some.
I like where you're going with that, Jen.
Yeah, especially if it's right outside there, all along Canyon, if somebody wants to do that. Say, would you like to
Mhm.
beautify that box?
The traffic signal utility box at 99th in Portland welcomes people to the Midland community. Something like that would be great as a welcome to Summit Waller at, let's say, the intersection of 72nd and Waller, or 104th and Canyon.
Ooh,
Yeah,
this sounds like fun.
It's kind of I thought
Yeah,
it might be kind of
it
something
is.
fun. So what I will do is I'll do some more research and get some more information, and then maybe between now and the next meeting, I can just fill in some of the gaps and some of the questions that you guys have, and some of the information that would be helpful for us to decide whether or not we wanted to do this. But I appreciate the feedback.
I have one more brainstorm thought, like Angela. Since I run across so many people that tell me about their concerns for added litter all over the place, I was thinking it might be something that the Summit Waller Community Association Board would maybe urge the Pierce County Council to adopt some sort of a anti-litter campaign, signage campaign. Make a contest out of it. For example, come up with a good positive logo, like keep Pierce County litter free, or keep Pierce County green, or something along those lines. We could urge the county to embark on a campaign like that. Something to think about for a future meeting.
All right.
I think Larry can design one of the boxes with his idea there, incorporate it all. Yeah,
That's a twofer right there.
Yeah.
exactly.
Keep Summit Waller litter free.
That's
And
right.
Summit Water as well.
Yeah.
Summit Water.
We want the water to be litter free also.
Yes.
I hate litter in my water.
Is there anybody else that has anything for the good of the order? Okay, real quickly before Gabe shuts this down, something I've noticed since I'm on Summit Water is that our Brita filter, we have to clean out fairly regularly because it gets a little bit green. And we get other places where there seems to be some living organism in our tap water. And I mean, it's not toxic or anything, but does anybody else who's on Summit Water notice this?
I get green water, or it's like a cat dish. It's plastic, it's green. But I just assume that's because we have copper pipes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that once in a while they have to get water from Lakewood, and when they do that, I notice, because you can smell the chlorine, the chemicals in it, when it's actually coming out of the Summit wells, it's scent free. It just seems like stuff likes to grow in it really well. So I thought I'd ask, see if anybody else had noticed.
Well,
Have you contacted Summit Water about your concern?
Not yet.
I would take a sample over, or ask them if they'll test a sample of your water.
Yeah, I could do that. And this is a time of year where they should be having a membership meeting as well. So we'll see what they do about that.
Yeah, I'll say, Bob, we're on Summit Water and we have a Brita filter. I just chalk it up to not cleaning it regularly. So we keep ours in the fridge, which I think helps keep down the funk. But I just attributed it to needing to just clean it out and with hot water and bleach every once in a while.
Okay, I just hadn't noticed that with having to do that.
Mm.
All right, so do we have a motion?
I move to
move that-
adjourn.
I second it.
Okay, so Jen has moved, we adjourn. Larry seconds, all in favor? Aye.
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 Measure passes. Our next Zoom board meeting will not be on April 6th. It will be on Tuesday, May 4th, 7 o'clock. See you all then.
All right.
See you then. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Have
Have
a
a
good
nice
night.
week, everybody.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Good night. Good day.
Are you done recording?